Hello, welcome to Ascot in a week that's a pinnacle of the racing and social calendar. The Royal Meeting, an exotic blend of all that's best in racing, fashion and sheer fun. Whether you lunch on pâté de foie gras or jelly deals, the attraction of these 4 fabulous days is quite irresistible. And today the weather's played its part. It's a warm, sunny day with blue skies. There is a bit of a wind, but the weathermen say that we're finally set fair for the rather overdue first week of summer. At present, the weather is really glorious, and the 50,000 or so racegoers are soaking in the unaccustomed radiation of the sun. Well, the going's officially good to firm. It has been watered for the past 4 days, and there's still, well, it's wet underneath the soil, but it's sure to be riding fast. In the St James's Palace Stakes, that's the highlight of day one. Indeed, it's now the richest race of the week, with a first prize of over £130,000. The supporting races on day one: at 2:30 the Queen Anne Stakes over the straight mile, at 3:05 the Prince of Wales Stakes over a mile and a quarter, and on BBC Two at 4:20 the Coventry Stakes, the top 2-year-old race of the week. There isn't a single non-runner today from the overnight declared runners, so despite the fast ground, that means that Turtle Island, the top-rated horse in Europe this year, is here at Ascot just 4.5 weeks after his quite sensational success in the Irish 2000 Guineas.
Racing towards the final furlong at Turtle Island, smoothly on the outside from Ridgewood Bend. Grand Lodge drops away, Guided Tour staying on, but racing to the final furlong, it's Turtle Island sprinting away from them in the ground. Turtle Island putting up a most impressive performance, flying through the final furlong, racing away to win this in most emphatic fashion as they race up to the line. Turtle Island absolutely annihilates the opposition. This could be up to 15 legs.
It was a stunning performance just 7 days after his narrow defeat by Green Tune in the Poule d'Essai de Poulain, the French 2000 Guineas. And since then, he's continued to please his trainer, Peter Chapelheim, on the Manton Gallops. He comes to Ascot very much to his trainer's satisfaction.
I think he's in top form. We gave him a bit of a holiday for a week afterwards, and haven't really let him down too much because he's very stuffy and takes a lot of work. But he's just really coming to himself now, and I'm really pleased. He does go on any ground. He's won on every ground going. But he goes on the soft where a lot of horses don't, which is a bonus for him. And he's as good a horse on soft ground as he is on good ground. So as long as the ground's good, we'll hold no fears.
You've got a big team at Royal Ascot. How high does he feature in your hopes?
Well, he'd be number one hope, definitely. So we've got a lot of runners, but he's the main, he's the big white hope.
But there's a genuine dark horse in the field today, the German-trained colt Royal Abha. Unextended and unbeaten in 3 races to date, the most recent, the German 2000 Guineas. There's simply no telling how good he might be. The winning margin that day was 6 lengths. What is easier to predict is that on this glorious summer day, well, it's going to be a vintage day for the fashion scene. And our fashion guest today is someone who you'll have seen leading in many winners at the Royal Meeting, and well, she'll be a very familiar face to you. She's Susan Renew, formerly Susan Sangster. Well, Susan, it's great to welcome you to this side of the camera, so to speak, but in fact, that's how you started life, as one of us.
As one of you, yes, Julian, but down in Melbourne, Australia.
You had your own show?
I did, yes, for some time, yes.
Well, it's a real Royal Ascot day. What have been your first impressions of the fashion?
Well, the fashion, I think, is blooming because the weather is so divine. I mean, for once, it's just been the most glorious day. And all the ladies have been absolutely glorious, viewing them walking in the Royal Enclosure. They've done their best because the weather's done their best.
They're going summer. It's very much a summer look, unlike the Derby meeting, and it started early.
It has. I mean, there are soft chiffons, lovely printed silks. The colours that I noticed that are most prevalent are pale pink and camel beige tonings. And there's always the vivid colour every now and then. But that flower man's doing a good trade there, isn't he?
Always does.
This is a rather spectacular outfit. Beige chiffon, and of course masses of cock feathers, pheasant feathers, coming out of the top of the turban. There's a lovely printed silk chiffon outfit. And it looks so wonderful with the slight breeze, Julian, to see these lovely soft materials floating around. That's a rather striking red, navy and black, white, nautical sort of theme with the stripes. There's another pink hat. Natural straw is very much into the fore, with normal trim, straw trim or grosgrain trim, rather than the feathers and the netting that we've seen in the past. Lovely big brimmed hats too, I think, which really make Ascot a hatter's dream.
They look fairly stable, don't they, despite the wind?
Yes, I think everyone's got the message of how to adhere. Now that's the natural straw look, which is sort of a fibre straw, and it can be tinted to coordinate with one's outfit. And it looks very pretty. More pretty girls in straw hats. The sou'wester isn't as popular a style this year as it was last year. The cyclamen pink colour really isn't been seen spectacularly. That's almost a topper, very pretty, with the Ascot colours of black and white, and a pretty neat straw hat.
That's sort of Victoria White, Victoria Tucker look, isn't it? That
Yes, yes. It's a very elegant hat. Lots of suits, short sleeved, long sleeved, very short skirts and very long skirts. The longer skirts tend to be in softer draped materials. But English women haven't given up wearing the long skirt look yet, although I guess the men love the short skirts and the long legs. Pretty legs there. And pale blue also is a very popular colour. The soft pastels, I think, are the colours this year. But there's a lot of caramels and creams, beiges, and the soft pinks.
You're looking at these people coming in, one feels that people have lost their nerve a little bit, and there aren't many thin dresses so far. It's all suits.
Well, yes, I think suits are very handy. You can take the jacket off, and underneath is a coordinating blouse. That's a very, very pretty natural straw hat, and soft pale aqua to complement the colours.
Any comments on the hair?
The hair, naturally long and gorgeous. I don't think we're in for the beehive teasy-weasy looks anymore. It's all very natural these days. Checks are very much in too. That's a pretty Chanel suit with a Valero jacket, which is also another fashion sign. Rather than the long line or to the waist, the Valero look is very much in vogue this year. That's a very feathered hat there, which is very Ascot, don't you think, in the wind?
Now, grey top hat.
That's Tommy Stack's wife, with Tommy Stack, Liz Stack from Ireland.
Liz, yeah.
Yes, she looks
Run
gorgeous
today in
in
the
camel
cotton
and
estate.
yes, he was telling me, and their son for the first time. Two more beige ladies, but pretty straws, natural straws, and very elegantly groomed, lovely, elegant ladies. I think we've got a lot of elegant ladies on show today, rather than freaks, Julian.
Well, don't speak too soon.
Now there's the long look. This is for the young, and this is sort of crepe cotton. The top is slightly stretch material, and then it's just falling loosely. So is her hair, but she's got a very pretty straw hat. Another pretty straw hat, another sou'wester style, and they're very charming, especially for today's warm weather.
Well, plenty of elegance, and later on we'll be looking at the Sangster ladies and the paddock, including your daughter, Jane Chapel-Hyam, Susan, and Turtle Island is the horse on everyone's lips. Are you hopeful about Turtle Island?
I think, well, the whole family, shall we say, are. I hope he likes the going. That's just the one little question. But Peter's very thrilled with his work, and he's a wonderful, wonderful horse.
Susan, we look forward to hearing from you throughout the afternoon.
Thank you, Julian.
So, guarded optimism there from Susan about Turtle Island, but of course the betting ring is the barometer of true competence, and the man to talk to in that department. Turtle Island 2-1 painted up this morning by the bookmakers. Graham Rock is with us with the latest news. Graham, have they taken the 2-1 or are they leaving it?
For the time being, Julian, they've certainly left the 2-1 Turtle Island. As you know, he opened as low as 5-4 anti-post, but as the ground has dried out, he's drifted all the while. In fact, Sean Graham went 9-4 this morning in Ireland, and it's still that price. Perhaps there'll be some action on the track, but for the time being, he's very easy to back.
Anything else backed in the race?
It's probably one of the quieter races of the day, despite being, you know, from a racing point of view, one of the most attractive. These are the sort of prices we've got. 2 Turtle Island, 11-2 Distant Views, been well backed, Anti-Post. Royal Abjar, the German challenger, he's been easy to back today. So I think there'll be more action on the track than there has been in the offices.
Right, well, let's start with what should be a good betting race, the Queen Anne Stakes. 2 strong fancies here.
Yes, and they back the front 2 almost to the exclusion of the others. Emperor Jones has put in 5-2. It's only 9-4 in one place. It's much shorter in other places. And good money for Barrathria throughout all the offices this morning. 7-2 into 3-1, down to 11-4 here and there. Obviously, with those 2 being backed in the way they have, 1 or 2 of these others are drifting out.
The Prince of Wales Stakes at 3:05.
Well, I think 1 or 2 people have regarded Mutaram on fast ground as one of the bankers of the meeting, so the 11-4 disappeared very early this morning. It's now 2-1 and will probably get shorter. Not much interest in the remainder. Cicereo, not many friends this morning, and Azud out to 10-1.
And the Coventry Stakes, 4:20.
Yes, a fascinating race this, and plenty of money for the favourite Rambrino. That 5-2 is a little bit deceptive. Ladbrokes put the horse in at 2-1 and cut him to 13-8. The Tote pushed him out to 5-2. Silca Blanca very well backed each way this morning, 11-2 into 4-1 best. And Corals reports some money for an outsider, I Should Coco. They had 100,000. Somebody punted to win 100,000 to 1,500 each way.
Doesn't seem to have made a major impact, does it?
No, the 66-1 is still there, so anybody wants it, they can have another go.
And later on?
Later on in the King Edward, Foyer is the one they've gone for, 9-2 into 3-1, and probably could be shorter. Horses like Way Anchor, absolutely friendless. In the last race, a bit of money for horses like Sun Grebe and Martin Pipes, horse that's Sweet Glow, but really a major gamble in the last race. Admiral's Well, 11-1 early, 6-1, they'll be pressed to beat that now.
Graham, thank you very much. Well, the Royal Procession's on its way. We'll be joining it fairly shortly. They've come through the Golden Gates, one of the great moments of the Royal meeting. And one of the great names at Ascot is, of course, Piggott. Lester Piggott first rode 46 years ago. He rides the Silver Socks for Tommy Stack in the Coventry Stakes today. Our news reporter, once again, is another very well-known Piggott, Tracy. Tracy, welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
So Silver Socks, now, could he do it?
Well, I was talking to Tommy Stack. I think he's got good outside chance. He ran at Leopardstown, and I think he's probably going to improve from that run. I think he finished in the first 4 or 5.
But surprisingly, only 2 runners from Ireland today.
Yes, most of the runners are tomorrow. Of course, Las Meninas in the Coronation Stakes. Currency Basket in the last race probably has work cut out there. But he's been hurdling over the winter time and won in February at Fairyhouse. But I think Silver Socks out of the 2 probably has a better chance. Good each way chance.
And College Chapel on Thursday, is the ground going to be a bit lively for him?
If it carries on like this, I think yes. Vincent O'Brien is sending over Vincent Roster, who's his assistant, to have a look at the ground today and to report back. But I think that if it remains like this and it's going to get faster, I don't think he'll run.
It's a worry. And very briefly, your latest news on the St James's Palace?
Well, I think it's the toughest St James's Palace has been for a very long time. I think First Trump is quite an interesting runner. He seems to be well over his problems now, and Jeff Bragg said he's very, very well. But I find it hard to oppose Turtle Island, even on this ground. The way he did it in Ireland, I think it's going to be very hard to beat.
I'll go along with that. Not Susan, Tracy, thank you. And now we move on to the moment that epitomises the splendour of the Royal meeting. The Royal procession from Windsor Castle, described now by Peter O'Sullivan and Susan Renew.
Yes, the Royal procession established nearly 170 years ago and traditionally led by the 2 outriders in scarlet. On this occasion, they're Russell Adams, a former member of the King's Troop, and Mark Chard, who was one of the many youth opportunity program boys who during the early 80s completed courses at the Royal Mews. And they're riding Auckland, a 10-year-old Irish grey, and Windhoek, an 11-year-old Hungarian, who both took part in Saturday's ceremonial. And the Royal carriage being drawn by Iceland and Twilight, St Patrick and King's Troop, and they're respectively ridden by head coachman Stephen Matthews, who's 41, and deputy head coachman John Nelson, who's 46. And Iceland, Twilight and St Patrick and King's Troop, all established horses. St Patrick and King's Troop drew the first barouche of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother's carriage, last Saturday. And of course, in the leading carriage, Her Majesty the Queen, accompanied by Prince Philip, with the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Gloucester. And just passing now the packed silver ring, with in the second carriage, in the second Ascot Landau, the outrider is Stephen Hughes, a former member of the Household Cavalry and 10-year-old Hillsborough. And the postilion riders, Stanley Nelson and Kevin Hutchinson. Kevin Hutchinson at 20, the youngest member of the Royal Mews. And in that second carriage, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, with the Princess Royal, Lord Somerleyton, and Sir Richard Carew Pearl. And in the third carriage, Princess Margaret, the Duchess of Gloucester, Mr. Thomas Dunn, and the trainer, Mr. Barrington Hills. And so the band under Major Hill's Grenadier Guards strikes up the national anthem.
As she comes into sight, Her Majesty the Queen is in a beautiful lavender blue silk jacket and dress in multi-tonings, and a beautifully bright tangerine fine straw hat with a rather large brim. She's looking, and the tangerine is picked up in the multicolours of the silk ensemble. Prince Philip is by her side, and the Prince of Wales opposite his father, all in wonderful black boaters. In the second carriage, we have Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and she's in one of her favourite colours, which is salmon pink, with the Princess Royal in a soft beige. Princess Royal is in the colour of the day, I feel. Very small hat with a bow and veiling at the back, like a pillbox, but tilted to the front. In the third carriage, we see Princess Margaret in a gorgeous leaf salad green, very pretty boater style, striped jacket. And the Duchess of Gloucester in a pale soft apricot with an upturned brim boater. Very elegant indeed. Princess Margaret looks lovely.
Wonderful, rousing cheers for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. What a moment that, there's one that looked as though it was going to run out for a moment. But beautifully disciplined horses. And as always, an interesting barometer of the state of the ground. They didn't seem to be making too much of a print coming down the racecourse there. I think we're going to be in for good, fast ground, fast times, I think. The wind's just a little bit across. But what a day's racing is in prospect, and that Royal Party's arrival, well, it's really set the seal on one of the happiest days of summer so far. We move on to the first race of the Royal Meeting, the Queen Anne Stakes, the first battle between us and the enemy. Peter O'Sullivan names the field.
Some very, very attractive young ladies around the ring, waiting for the 10 runners to come in. And here they come, walking in to the parade ring, and the first is in fact one of the pacemakers, or the pacemaker, Fitzcarraldo, number 6, who will be ridden by Jason Weaver. The sun really shining here. Many of the trainers have already walked the track. Alec Head, I bumped into this morning, said that the ground is riding perfect for flat racing, and he said any horse that can't act on this today really isn't a racehorse. There's number 1, this is Barathea, As you can see him, a really big, burly individual. He has his first run of the season here, so if Luca Kamani has got him ready enough to win, which I think he has, it'll be a training feat in its own right. He proved himself a high class last term when winning the Irish 2,000 guineas and then running a gallant second, a length and a half behind Big Stone. That was here in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes, always one of the best mile races of the calendar. He likes to come from off the pace, so I think we'll see Michael Kinane giving him plenty of chance, and he's also got a great turn of foot. Michael Kinane rode the winner of this race like last year with El Flora, and looking at him there, John, I would say that well, he's as fit as probably he can make it.
He certainly looks tremendous, Jimmy, very well muscled up, and he looks as if he's had a race to bring him to his peak. You would never know, looking at him here today, that this was his first outing of the season. He really does look the part to run for his life. As you say, Michael Kinane won the race last year. That was on 20-to-1 shot. Al Flora, who made the running, looked certain to be beaten when headed by Inner City inside the last furlong, but battled back. But this time, Michael Kinane's on the second favourite, Barathea, who is 100 to 30.
You can see there, as John was saying, I don't think I've ever seen him look better. He's just taken a keen interest. He looks 100% fit. His muscles really standing out here in this lovely Ascot sunshine. This is number 7, a Gabba, the mount of Willie Carson. Gabba's last start was a good run, finishing just over a length third behind Penny Drops. That was in the Gardner Merchant Mile at Sandown. This will be his first run for 7 weeks, but I was talking to Robert Armstrong, his trainer, who thinks that he's got a very good each-way chance. He's good each-way value at 10-to-1. And he's been reported to be working really well at home. Willie Carson's in the saddle, riding for one of his number 1 jobs, Sheikh Hamdam Al Maktoum.
Creep.
Straight.
Ascot black and white, with a lovely hat, straw hat. And she looks very elegant and also very comfortable and cool. Robert and Susan Sangster. And Susan looks gorgeous in pink. The colour, I think, today, with a caramel straw hat, pink trim and caramel accessories. I think she's lost Robert. He must be putting a bet on. Here's a lovely green outfit. Soft tweed with a beautiful silk hat, great big bows. Bows are certainly still in, and they're varied. They're big or they're trimmed with other outstanding veils. John Gosden walking through, about to collect his tickets. Trainer and his wife Rachel and Samantha Baring. Now Samantha's in a very pretty printed silk dress. Silk dresses are in form today. She has the silk trim around her lovely black hat. Lady Howard de Warden in soft flowing chiffon. Pin pot stripes, pretty frills, very Ascot. Now this is a short skirt, they're very short still. Thai silk has also made a reappearance into what one is wearing in materials. That looks like someone from America in Stars and Stripes. Very jaunty little black straw hat. There was an enormous queue to collect Royal Enclosure vouchers today. This is a rather striking outfit with a horse on the hat and a horse handbag in black and white, and a very pretty braided black and white linen suit. Black and white shoes. She's really gone to a lot of trouble, and it's not too freakish. Once again, we see the lovely soft straw. This is swathed in silk, highlighted with the purple flowers that match and complement her Thai silk purple suit. Very pretty lavender color. Now this is the other look, which some people call the grunge look, but it's different natural fabrics in different layers. She's also wearing a straw hat, and this is very elegant. Pale pink and white revers silk, and swathed silk chiffon tulle over beige linen, with the pink flowers also highlighting the color of the outfit. Very elegant outfit. Another wonderful netted straw boater. Lovely brimmed hats this year. We have hardly seen turbans or very tight, close hats. Everyone seems to have a brim, have it trimmed. This is a lovely Edwardian style hat with chiffon flowers in full bloom, and this soft see-through straw, which is a natural fibre, and that's also making a fashion impact today. And here we have the jockey, Frankie Dettori, saying hello to his well-wishers, and off he goes in a wonderful floral outfit. Tie. Ah, someone's having a siesta, but she's beautifully dressed in the beige. Thank you, Julian.
Well, there's someone who doesn't seem overly concerned about the steward's inquiry. What we've heard is that the stewards are satisfied that the winner is not involved. They're inquiring into the two horses who finished second or third, or dead heated for second, because we still haven't got the outcome of that photograph for second place. However, no doubt, as I say, about the winning person, and that, for the second year running, is Michael Kinnan, who I'm pleased to welcome. Michael, many congratulations. Now, that looked like a pretty fast race. They went a good gallop. Obviously, your horse was set a good gallop.
We had a pacemaker in for him, just so that he would settle. We actually didn't go too quick. We just progressed nicely. He could have actually probably done with a little bit of faster of pace. When they quickened up at the 2 mark, he was just a little flat-footed being his first run, but then once he got it together well in the last corner.
Well, it was a great battle between you and Frankie from the 2. He went first, and then you came back at him, nip and tuck to the line.
Yeah, you know, I didn't want to get too long drawn battle because his first run this year, and I was hoping to have the last crack, and it worked out nicely.
And Willie came to challenge the 2 of you on the outside. A terrific line of 3, just 100 yards out.
Yeah, Willie looked very dangerous about falling down, and then once I got inside the final furlong, I was always going to win. My foot stayed on really well, and good performance for his first start this year.
Lady Ascot, racegoer, beautiful, full straw black hat, sombrero styled, with lace, net, tulle, beautiful dress, very Ascot. And here's a very elegant, we think she's one of the most elegant racegoers today, in cream silk, with a cream hat banded by black grosgrain. Slim figure, very elegant indeed. She's obviously interested in the races too, because she's carrying binoculars. This is a rather amazing vision in pink, stitched hat, beautiful coordinated suit, flowers. Here we have a little quirky number, a little knot at the top, black, plain straw, and the design is just in looking at it. Lots of long chiffon, long skirts which flow in the breeze and look very romantic and pretty. This is an interesting straw hat which has been covered in net and tulle, but the straw is underneath. Pink again with the navy complementary accessories. It's been pink with beige, it's been pink with navy, and that really has been the look today. 3 avid racegoers, all mix and match, feathers, straw, and grosgrain trim. Now here's something for Turtle Island. It's a little Fijian beach beret. So this is a good note for the race coming up. Turtle Island is off the Fijian coastline. And the plait at the back, which is rather pretty with a little black bow at the bottom. Rather attractive hat. Little speciality. Here's a normal Royal Ascot look with the pink osprey feathers floating around the brim. Pretty pink bow alongside. Lovely pinks. And of course, Her Majesty the Queen is in a floral outfit today, which a lot of the ladies today are also wearing, muted florals. Here's a very elegant biscuit beige hat with double bow in silk. Nancy Reagan red, always striking, always looks special and smart. And navy, of course, is always very fashionable and very striking, navy and white. And a lovely beige outfit with this natural fibre hat. More beige, very pretty brim, grosgrain trim. And of course the men look splendid too, in their different cummerbunds and waistcoats, and their lovely flowers in their lapels. This is netting again, and feathers, and checks, and bustles and bows. I guess everything goes at Ascot. More double bows, navy and red. Lots of patterns, and here we have the sun. Not the moon, but the sun, full frontal, and it is the most beautifully sunny day out here today. I think this must symbol something, so that if there's a sun something in the next race, perhaps that's another signal for luck. Elegant race goers. Now this is a nice little neat number, so if it gets windy, she doesn't have to hang on to her hat. Navy and white, ribbed, turban style. Here's Her Majesty the Queen, and we can see she's in pretty lavender blue silk jacket, dress, tangerine, swathed in silk around the brim, in the matching colour. And she looks very elegant, very summery. And of course she's doing what she loves doing, is seeing the horses in the parade ring. And we hope one day we might see her watching a winner come in. That would be lovely.
Her Majesty heading for the pre-parade ring in anticipation of the race of the week. Certainly one of the most exciting renewals of the St James's Palace Stakes for a long time. 3 classic winners in the field, but the stewards are still resolving the outcome of the Prince of Wales Stakes. And the big question, did Willie Carson go into no man's land or did he go for a legitimate gap which was closed on him? We can take another look at the pictures that the stewards are looking at. And
season.
And well, it's a perfect day
Princess
for looking
Margaret.
at horses. Lord Carnarvon with Her Majesty, and Colonel Sir Piers Ben Goth. And down by paddock side is Susan Renaud.
The royal party is coming into the parade ring. Queen is in focus now, and it is a deep lilac blue and beautiful tangerine hat. She's accompanied by Lord Carnarvon. Behind her is Princess Margaret, and she's in a striped lettuce green outfit. Pretty matching green straw hat, plain green skirt, very fresh and summery. And they're all looking at the horses and having a chat. The Princess Royal is in a patterned beige outfit with a little pillbox on the top of her head with veiling, looking very chic. She's accompanied by Andrew Parker Bowles, and she's taking a great interest in the horses. She looks very elegant indeed, with her hair up, tucked under her little tilted pillbox. We move through and we see Lucy Sangster and Fiona Sangster and Susan Sangster, and they're all looking very chic indeed with their rather lovely broad-brimmed hats, beautiful slim figures, and obviously having a girls' chat before the big race. They're all here to see Turtle Island. Just in the side you can see the jockey John Reed.
Thank you, Susan. And well, to the other serious part of the games, we'll have a look at the horses now. This is number 9, Turtle Island. After winning the Friedlander Greenham Stakes at Newbury by 3 lengths, he was very much fancied to win the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket, but his trainer, Peter Chapelheim, thought the ground was going to ride too firm that day, so in preference they went to the French equivalent, where he was beaten just over a head by Green Tune.
Another terrific day. Yesterday, the first 5 races resulted in a photo finish. Today's racing looks equally competitive. It's flat racing at its very best. Well, despite the rail strike, there seems to be another huge crowd. Yesterday's first day attendance was just under 40,000, although here in the main enclosures, whereas they're filled to capacity, there do seem to be perhaps fewer racegoers in some of the enclosures, the silver ring on the left, although as you can see the centre of the course, the cars, well, they're jam-packed in there. So perhaps the rail strike has had an effect. The going remains good to firm. The clerk of the course, Sir Nicholas Beaumont, did water the course after racing last night. Yesterday it was almost perfect fast ground. The results were very much in the punter's favour. Today's Group 1 event is the Coronation Stakes at 3:45, worth over £128,000 to the winner. A rematch this between the winners of the English and Irish 2,000 guineas. The other feature, the most famous handicap at the Royal Meeting, that's the hugely competitive Royal Hunt Cup on BBC Two at 4:20. And two non-runners this afternoon. In the second race, number 9 Limerick Bell, and in the third race, the Coronation Stakes, number 10 Velvet Moon. Well, no doubt about the hero of the first day. That's the magnificent Michael Kinnan, whose 125-to-1 treble just dominated the proceedings. Magnificent riding, and it puts him clear in the race for the Ritz Club Charity Trophy, which goes to the leading rider over the 4 days of the meeting. Sadly, he was also a villain in the eyes of the stewards, who dealt him a 2-day suspension for misuse of the whip after his superlative ride on Grand Lodge. Who was it who said that the law is an ass? Well, there was a mixed reception to the first day fashion scene, which Susan Renouf described for us so excellently. Today we have a new pair of eyes. They're the eyes of Angela Bell McSweeney. Angela, welcome back, and let's tell me what you've been doing in the last 12 months.
Well, Julian, it's been a busy year for me. Just before I left Australia, I was given a new appointment as Special Events Manager for the Sydney Turf Club, and of course they run the richest 2-year-old race in the world, the Golden Slippers. So when I go home, I'll be organising the celebrations for the opening of their new stand at Rose Hill, and the Slipper in 1995. I've got all sorts of things in mind, marketing and promotions, to promote it worldwide.
You're a busy girl. On the evidence of yesterday, do you feel that there are indications that we're out of a recession and spending serious money on clothes again, or the reverse?
Well, I think, you know, fashion is always a good barometer for social and economic issues and changes in society. It's still a little difficult to say, Julian. I think I'll have to reserve most of my comments till Friday. I think women now have a completely different attitude to dressing and fashion. I think they're very clever with it, and I don't think that they'll be dictated to anymore. There's not a stereotype type of dressing anymore. Women really do their own thing, and I think they dress with more confidence. So even if they've worn the outfit last year, if it looks wonderful on them and they feel good, then they come back and they wear it again. And maybe where, you know, the 90s have been really a time of reality where everybody has had to be sensible.
What are your first impressions of today?
Oh, well, of course, I just think Royal Ascot meeting itself is a celebration of excellence in absolutely every way. Superb. I think the dressing has been divine. Wonderful colours, and again this new femininity which is really prevalent for dressing in the 90s, and the lovely colours that we're seeing there, the soft palettes of lemon, of beige, of biscuit, and of course the bows. They're always marvellous at Ascot. There's a new proportion with the dressing also, Julian. I've seen some wonderful high strappy shoes, just when we were getting rather used to army boots. Now there's a lady, I was talking to her earlier, and that's the type of dressing I'm talking that's so sensible. She's wearing a Valentino jacket with an Agnes B skirt and actually a Philip Somerville hat. But you see, it's not the one designer, she's combined them very successfully. Again, black and white. Well, of course, the Ascot gavotte is always so popular, and today I'm wearing my racing colours to bring me luck.
They're rather like home magic from the second race, too, you'll notice.
They are. I'll have to have a bit. There we see a marvellous hat, of course, again, epitomising the elegance of Royal Ascot. A pretty face, and the choker that Princess Diana made so very popular worldwide. And Karl Lagerfeld for the House of Cocoa, always a classic example of beautiful craftsmanship and superb dressing. Those, as we see, which have been worn here since Queen Anne inaugurated the meetings in 1711, and that wonderful pineapple fibre hat. I was talking to this lady as she walked through, and again it's a Donna Karan suit and a Philip Somerville hat, and he's a New Zealand designer. Marvellous colours. There we see spots and again a straw, one of these rather open straws, and the gentlemen looking sartorially elegant with their toppers and waistcoats and boutonnieres. The gorgeous young ones, individuality again, and some green for the Irish there. Marvellous hat again. Every shape of face is catered for here at Royal Ascot, and people do come from all over the world to view the fashions here and just to get a barometer on what people will be wearing. wonderful outfit again in all the new palettes for the summer, creams and beiges, and again that very fine pineapple straw that we're seeing in many of the hats. Here we see a Moschino outfit. Now, doesn't she look gorgeous with those wonderful legs? Moschino is actually celebrating his 10th anniversary, and he has a marvellous philosophy that women should choose their fashion outfits just as they would a meal in a restaurant, something that they're really going to enjoy and feel relaxed wearing. There we see the soft pinks, which are very prevalent. I was mentioning the colours for 94 earlier. Lilacs, pinks, lemons, and all the creams and beiges.
Black top hats are very much the vogue, aren't they?
They certainly are. Yeah. They certainly are. Well, of course, these two girls look gorgeous, and then we see the long and the short of it, but the marvellous mouth-watering sorbet colours of creams and beiges again, and I think tone-on-tone dressing for the races is always a stunning look. Marvellous straws there, the quality of the straw is seen. And oh, that's Sally Churnside. Sally Churnside is actually part of the Australian contingent. Sally's a member of the VRC committee, who of course run the famous Melbourne Cup.
Victoria Racing Association.
Of course, yeah. Yes, and she was the first lady to be put on a committee in Australia, a race committee in Australia. This lady looks particularly wonderful, and the outfit's by Bruce Oldfield, another Australian. You see, we are invading you here, Julian. It's too wonderful to keep us away. That lady looks particularly elegant, and again, here we see black and white, which is always a fashion winner at Royal Ascot, and a particularly beautiful hat there, wonderful straw. And in the latest Paris showings, the tulle has been very, very popular, and I've noticed a lot of the girls have got that very soft tulle on their hats. And a pretty face always helps, doesn't it? Again, that marvellous tulling that I was just talking about, with the hair flowing long, and a Valentino suit. Again, a soft pink.
Well, there are plenty of pretty faces here today, and we're going to enjoy them. I hope you're going to enjoy yourself, Angela, and we're going to hear from you throughout the afternoon.
Wonderful to be with you, Julian. Thank you.
Right, that's Angela Bell McSweeney. Now back to the racing, and yesterday evening after you left us, Michael Kinnan made it perfectly clear that he was far from finished with the day's activities. He'd already ridden a double, and in the fifth race, the King Edward VII Stakes, he rode Foyer, a well-backed horse, the horse who unseated Willie Ryan in the Derby. Foyer backed from 9 to 2 in the morning to 7 to 2 on the course. John Hanmer takes up the story.
Shine, the scarlet coated outriders, Russell Adams on the 10-year-old Irish Grey Auckland, and Mark Chard on the 11-year-old Hungarian Grey Windhoek, and drawing the number 1 Ascot Landor, Iceland and Twilight, ridden by head coachman Stephen Matthews, and St Patrick and King's Troop, ridden by deputy head coachman John Nelson, who's been 28 years in service in the Royal Mews, and who incidentally celebrates his 25th wedding anniversary next week. And the first carriage, containing Her Majesty the Queen, Prince Philip, Prince of Wales, and Prince Michael of Kent. The second carriage, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, Princess Margaret, Lord Somerleyton, and Sir Richard Carew Pole. And the third carriage, Princess Michael of Kent, Lady Somerleyton, Mr. Thomas Dunn, and Mr. Marcus Humphrey. These beautiful open postilion carriages with painted basketwork sides, made in the early part of the 19th century and known ever since as the Ascot Landors. Well, shortly the procession will draw abreast of the Queen Elizabeth II stand, and Major Philip Hills, directing the band of the Grenadier Guards, will strike up the national anthem.
The Queen is wearing a superb pleated suit of printed pink chiffon and an edge-to-edge coat in pink silk with kimono sleeves and a matching hat upturned at the brim. And of course, the colour that the Queen is wearing today is so very much in vogue at the moment for the '94 fashion season. We see His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh there with his wonderful red boutonniere. I hope it brings him luck today. And the royal procession is so much part of this unique race meeting which is watched worldwide. The Prince of Wales also, of course, in his marvellous topper there, and the tradition and pageantry of English racing. There we see the Queen Mother, so loved by all, in the palest of soft blues with sunshiny yellow, and of course the Princess Margaret, looking absolutely wonderful in Ascot's colours, black and white with a wonderful pearl choker. The weather today is absolutely superb, and the Royals, I'm sure, are going to have a most marvellous day. In the third carriage, we see Princess Michael of Kent. Again, she's looking absolutely superb, and Lady Somerleyton. All the colours of the fashionable season are being worn by the royal procession today. We can hear the crowd and the euphoria and the wonderful atmosphere and the welcome that the royal procession are receiving, the magnificent horses, and again the pageantry and tradition that only happen at this unique race course and this wonderful meeting.
Wonderful, colourful scene, and the colours really sparkling today, and there's just a wonderful, vibrant feel to this second day's racing at Royal Ascot. The skies an azure blue. There is a wind once again, but it just makes it cool down on the lawns. A really perfect day's racing, and racing of an almost perfect nature. Our first race is one of the biggest fields, well, just about the biggest field of the day. A really competitive looking race for the Jersey Stakes. Huge list of runners and riders. Peter O'Sullivan has the list.
Well, there we see the Ascot scene. It's just like a lovely big garden party here, and the atmosphere is absolutely sensational. And there we see part of the pageantry and tradition that is part of Royal Ascot. That marvellous steward there in his green uniform, and it's only worn over this 4-day royal meeting. A fashion experiment there, a hand-painted hat, but it looks very pretty, a gorgeous face, and again the girl giggling and showing the atmosphere that exists on the royal turf. Again we see feathers and a wonderful avocado greeny beige outfit, the pearl necklace, which is always a winner, the choker, and long flowing hair, and of course the very important royal enclosure badge securely pinned on to that beautifully crafted suit. Again, a pretty young girl having fun. Now, what would Royal Ascot be without Mrs. Schilling? There she is at the gate, taking 5. She's in red and silver, and I think she may have confused her styling with an American star-spangled flag. The most wonderful osprey hat. I think this girl looks superb. I don't think the outfit would have worked in another colour, but because she's been clever enough to just stick to the black and the white, it looks superb. Actually, we didn't see black yesterday, but today it's been very prevalent, and I personally always feel block colours such as black, navy and white are winners on the race course. They're stylish and elegant. And again, we can see the marvellous summer dressing here, fun and pretty, and again, something very feminine for the garden party atmosphere. I think the lady there in the avocado green with the beige hat also looks very elegant. Black and white again, and again a marvellous black and white print dress, wonderful jewellery worn, hair just taken back into a ponytail, but that marvellous osprey hat. Black gloves which finish off the outfit. And then we see fun, which is all part of the Ascot scene, a strawberry patch. But the ladies teamed it up beautifully with a very colourful and floral dress. She has her Chanel bag there and a coolie style hat showing you the new crushed idea with linen. And again, the lady wearing her own boutonniere, black and white with a Chanel inspired hat, wonderful jewellery. And again, you can see the atmosphere and the fun that people are having here at this royal meeting. Shoes of all sizes and description, and of course the rather high heels are difficult to walk in on the lawn. They just seem to sink down, but they are going to be the fashion trend, so we're all going to have to get used to that look once again. Simplicity in white, and again straw hats, and of course everyone wears a hat at Ascot because the crown of one's head must be covered on royal turf. The new colours for the season, again beige and pink. Pink has been very prevalent, and it's always such a girly, feminine colour. It's lovely to see it making a comeback. An absolutely divine hat with silk handmade flowers on a cream background and the wonderful green leaves. And of course our lovely lady that we saw earlier with the ospreys. Black and white stripes, My Fair Lady seen once again, and young ones having fun and just enjoying every single minute of this wonderful sunny day at Royal Ascot. Oh, romance on the lawn there, I think. There again we see somebody who's been very clever with her hat. It's just a simple straw, but she's draped around some linen and sewn those little shells on it. And I must say it's looking very smart. A gorgeous navy chiffon dress, and the hat has got lovely big red roses again at the back, and a very pretty style. She's been very clever, this lady, because she's teamed up the latest look with the beige hat. A very pretty girl with a big white hat and a celestial colour for the new season, soft pale blue. And the toppers, black and white again, and very much a Royal Ascot look. Gold trim on that lady's suit, and you can see the beautiful crafting and the cut and the design. Race dressing is really a very special way of dressing, and there we can see all the different ladies. Every face is catered for, every type of hat. You've come a long way, baby, may be a very apt phrase to describe the type of fashions we see here at Royal Ascot. Through the years, we've seen bustles and bows from the very first meetings to the wonderful casual elegance that we see in 1994. I saw this girl earlier. She's very pretty, and she looks wonderful in that raw silk blue dress. It's a long dress, and she even has shoes that match. And again, I think it's the freedom and the individuality of dressing that's shown in that gorgeous outfit, and a marvellous colour for a blonde also. Ice cream colours there, all the candy stripe colours of the season, and don't they look sweet? Gorgeous little pull-on crochet hat, flowers, and again capturing the relaxed, fun garden party atmosphere that can only happen here at Royal Ascot. Sun-tanned legs too. Longer skirts worn by some of the older ladies. A very pretty chiffon dress, and again the hat that's made a great comeback this time is this marvellous ruched fabric hat, and there the choker of pearls.
We'll hear more of Angela Bell-McSweeney later, but now we have the official result of the Jersey Stakes, and it was a dead heat. As we speculated, a dead heat between number 17, River Deep, at 20 to 1, and number 11, Nice, at 10 to 1. The third horse, number 2, Demani, the 6 to 1 favourite. The non-runner was number 9. The time was 1 minute 28.70 seconds. That is quite slow. That's a second slower than the corresponding race median. And the jockeys reported it's still good fast ground, but the wind has now come round in the face of the runners, or half across. Cricket at Lord's, where England have got New Zealand on the rack in the second test match. We'll be going down there in just a few moments. But here at Ascot, it's a typical ladies' day scene. The sun is out, the wind's blowing, but a crowd of up to 70,000 are looking forward to a vintage race for the Gold Cup, the Stayers Championship of Europe. Today there's been an explosion of summer fashion, creating a magnificent tableau of vivid colour. Well, the going remains officially good to firm after further artificial watering yesterday evening. It must be getting faster with this strong wind, though. The times yesterday, however, were less fast than on day one, but there was once again a strong wind. And the Gold Cup, well, that's the centrepiece of our 4 races, of which a fascinating second feature is the Cork and Norrie Stakes, which Lester Piggott and Vincent de Bruin bid to win for the second year in succession with College Chapel. The Norfolk Stakes, won last year by Turtle Island, is on BBC Two at 4:20. And just one non-runner this afternoon in the first race, number 8, Make a Note, doesn't go. Well, at the halfway stage of the meeting, Michael Canan's in a commanding position in the race for the Ritz Club Charity Trophy, which goes to the leading rider over the 4 days of the Royal Meeting. He's got 4 winners. Only Richard Quinn of his rival jockeys has more than 1. John Reed, the anti-post favourite to win the title, is still to get off the mark. Well, we'll be back here at Ascot in plenty of time for the arrival of the royal party from Windsor Castle, but in the meanwhile, we move east down to London to Lord's Cricket Ground, where we join Richie Benno. The arrival of the royal party on Ladies' Day, and on a day which represents the fashion highlight of the week. Well, I'm pleased to welcome, as our Ladies' Day fashion commentator, Yves Pollard. Well, as you'd expect, it's the day.
It is the day, and I'm glad to say that a lot of women have got the beige thing, you know, beige is the colour for the season, out of their system. And today I can see a sea of colours, every single sort of colour, a bit of beige, but they seem to have got that out of their system in the first 2 days, so they're wearing better colours now, higher heels than I've seen for some while, bigger hats on the windiest Ascot I can ever remember, and lots of tulle and veiling and flowers all over the place.
Eve, we'll be hearing from you throughout, as you know, but the royal party now are in sight of the grandstand, so it's time to join Peter O'Sullivan.
And this afternoon, Her Majesty, joined by Prince Philip, the Duke of Kent, and Viscount Linley in the first carriage, and the Queen to be represented in the opening race by Magic Junction, a horse that she bred herself and who'll be bidding to become the 18th Royal Ascot winner for the Queen, whose last success was 2 years ago with Colour Sergeant. And as on the 2 previous days, Auckland and Windhoek, the 2 greys, ridden by the outriders, Russell Adams and Mark Chard, and Iceland and Twilight, St Patrick and King's Troop, drawing the royal carriage. Iceland, a 12-year-old Dutch gelding who was on parade last Saturday, and Twilight, a 15-year-old Hanoverian who's drawn the Queen's birthday parade carriage, in fact, since 1987. St Patrick and King's Troop, they drew the first barouche of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother's carriage last Saturday. And in the second carriage, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother herself, with Princess Margaret, Sir Anthony Millbank, and Mr. Marcus Humphrey. And very shortly, the royal carriage, the leading carriage, will draw abreast of the Queen Elizabeth II stand. So the band of the Lifeguards under Major Colin Reeves strikes up the national anthem.
There's the Queen in a very subtle turquoise and tan. It's a very fine print, and it's a silk dressing jacket. And for the Queen, a rather larger hat in pale turquoise. And even the Queen's having to hang on to it, so you can see just how windy it is today. And she's wearing 3-strand pearls and the traditional brooch, but it's a very subtle colourway in a pale tan and turquoise. And she's wearing pale tan gloves to go with it. You see a bright blue boutonniere and Prince Philip's buttonhole. And men this year are looking rather snazzy. Lots of very interesting waistcoats we hope to see later. In the second carriage you see the Queen Mother and Princess Margaret sort of complementing each other beautifully, with a sort of deep yellow on the right on the Queen Mother, and then a very, very pale, icy, frothy sort of hat and outfit on Princess Margaret in a sort of lemon yellow. Very simple sort of Nehru coat with that very nice collar on Princess Margaret. Very flattering. You can see those colours go together. In the third coach, of course, there's the Duchess of Kent, also in a pale lemon, and Viscountess Linley in one of those wonderful Hervé Légère, as they call them, elastoplast dresses. She looks wonderful. It's great to have another royal who's so interested in fashion. And look at that stunning hat. That's all in a pale sort of hyacinth blue, and she's got gloves to go with it. And the Duchess of Kent in yellow and white. And enormous cheers from the crowd. And you can see the colours all match. I hope we've lovely sight to see Princess Margaret, Queen Mother and Duchess Kent all together, because they all go so well. Whether they've planned this or not, I have no idea, but that hyacinth blue does stand out that Viscountess Linley is wearing today.
Wonderful scene on Gold Cup Day, Ladies' Day, and interesting to see His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh reverting from a grey top hat to a black top hat today, although Viscount Lindley and the Duke of Kent are dignifying the grey top hat, which many of us, of course, still wear. And the Duke of Edinburgh, although of course he takes a very intelligent interest in the horse racing, well, I'm sure that as a former president of the MCC, he'll be taking an equal interest in the cricket at Lord's. We're now back to the Ladies' Day fashion scene as we return to the highly individual views of our fashion commentator, Yves Pollard.
And I did say there was less beige, but these first two ladies are wearing touches of white and beige. They're the biggest hats I've ever seen at Royal Ascot, both today and the previous 2 days. And there's another fashion feature that we're seeing all week, which is a coat-tail dress on the lady as well as on her companion. Very flattering, actually, and there's a lot of those around. Pearl chokers, large straws. This is a very simple outfit, and a dress and jacket will probably cover her through the windy bits as well as the sunny bits of today. I would always find it difficult to see very much in this, but you can see the hat is sort of fairly see-through, three-quarter coat and mini skirt or fairly short skirt. They've got much shorter than this year. Oh, and there's pink and black, and these girls are doing what they can. They'd be all right to meet when you were going a bit faster than you should. Oh, wonderful waistcoat. The men are really trying. There's a competition for the best tie, which I think Julian has every chance of winning. I'm totally unbiased. And there's Ken Bates, who runs Chelsea, and he's wearing bright yellow boutonniere. I don't think this signifies anything for Chelsea. They're still going to wear blue this season. And black and white are traditional, probably the biggest colour of today. And bows. I think when the designers have run out of everything else, they stick bows on top of these big straw hats and they work. The difficulty is to keep them on. Every year I've said that there's one accessory that everybody does wear, which is the Chanel bag, and if nothing else, it's the big hat this year, and I think the hat designers who've done so much for British fashion are reaping their just reward. There's a lot of this big straw that's not actually very sort of delicate. It's quite tough and big looking, and it goes very well with these big stars. Whereas straw hats used to be very neat with very, very tiny holes. Look at this one, you see. You put your lunch in there if you wanted. Very pretty peach colour, and look at that lovely Grace Kelly bun at the back. That's her hair, for those people who may not know. There are high heels and strappier shoes around, more than ever. I don't know how women are going to survive if they have to go to the paddock, but she's been sensible. There's Susan Sangster in a very nice blue outfit. She always has classic style, doesn't she? And she manages to combine large hats, long hair and earrings and all goes. There aren't so many flowers, but this is a rather pretty one. There are more bows than flowers this year. And there you see the high heel, short skirt, and another coat-tail dress. Years ago, one used to have to tie one's hair back and look very neat, but now all of it goes. And that's a lovely tulle-encrusted hat. Of course, you can't decide the shape when you're a hair designer. Just cover it with net and you'll get away with it. A lovely sight of all those colours. We'll see some more later.
So the party's up and running. Day one belonged to the punters, day two the bookmakers. What will happen today? Vintage Crop for many will be the banker of the week. He could be odds on. Here with us, Graham Rock, 49 years old today. Graham Rock, happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Julian.
Is he going to be odds on, Vintage Crop?
He could end up odds on. I think he'll open up on the track at about even money. Certainly the 5 to 4 went very quickly this morning, and even money is the best price you can get at the moment. There are plenty of bookmakers here that haven't laid the horse. They'll put him in about that price, and then it'll be up to the punters to decide what happens. So Vintage Crop is evens from 5 to 4. Very little backed against him except safety.
Pink in the sequins with the bright blue and stars, and there's a spotted dress. Of course, it's impossible to greet another woman when you're wearing these large things. You just have to smile. And I have talked about strappy shoes, but I hadn't seen anything quite this extraordinary before. And there is the sort of Garden of Eden version, perhaps, of an Ascot outfit. He's wearing a matching waistcoat. Can you see that ties in? And here's more of the sort of floral hat look. Large leaves on a big straw hat. And when I was talking about tough-looking straw, not that polished, neat, taut woven stuff we've been used to, but rough-looking straw hats made into very big shapes. What's interesting this year is there's more jewellery than ever before and more bare shoulders, but some of the more glamorous outfits have never been bettered. This black and white stripe, a classic, but one has to hang on for grim life. And she's got stripes and spots. More black and white here. And it's very hard to beat this colour combination. I mean, if the weather gets really bad, you don't look quite so ridiculous in black as you do in shocking pink. And there's a big sou'wester sort of straw hat with a spray at the front. Deep crown, which means it should stay on. I rather like this ruffled effect. It's sort of, you've seen it in your curtains, now you can put it on your hat effect. But it's very pretty, it's very feminine. And if you were really talented, you could do it yourself. Years ago, if you wore a big hat, you would have to tuck your hair up very neatly, but now the look is hair, earrings, large hat, the whole thing goes together. It's a Chanel-style pink suit on the left there, with this enormous feathered number. Oh, and here's, I think, a gentleman, I hope a gentleman. Jolly hairy knees to see as a girl. And there he is, he's wearing his very own version of the Ascot outfit. He's got a tie to match. I'm not sure that's traditional in bow tie shape. Black and white again, the little dotted bows are rather pretty on that hat. And there are pearls everywhere. There you see, she's got a choker on. That's a very nice deep crown indeed, a very flattering hat, obviously by one of the younger hat designers. And there are lots of chaps around looking rather good. Oh look, this is a rather nice, simple outfit. The nice thing about Ascot, which has been truer and truer over the last few years, is you don't need a fortune to look good. You just need a little bit of taste and bravery. That's a very nice trellis of flowers. I'm not quite sure what sort of suntan you might get through that, but it's a very large hat. A turban, this is an unusual shape. The great thing is if this is your third day at Ascot, you don't have to worry about your hair. And here are more feathers. The boater shape has been around a lot this year. This is garlanded, and there's silver. Silver is the big look, big colour for spring, and that's a shiny, deep crown silver hat. And you see she's got earrings to match. And this is one of those styles that's just covered, two of them, just covered with tulle. Now, they're very pretty, those tulle hats, but I often feel you could run those up. And this is a rather longer skirt than we've been seeing. She's got 3 roses, all in big black straw. And again, a deep crown. The great advantage if you can clump it firmly on your head, it should stay on. And there are a lot of couples walking hand in hand. This is perhaps the new caring 90s look of Ascot. Oh, look. That's a wonderful thing. I don't know what's around the back, but she's certainly got the winning post on her hat. She's obviously spent a lot of time on that. And that's garlic, I think. Well, it's an interesting place to put it, on top of your hat. And there's a very pretty scene from Royal Ascot, Ladies' Day. People trying their best, looking very good in the sun.
And so to one of the most fascinating races of the week, the Cork and Norrie Stakes. Can Vincent Lebrun and Lester Piggott win it for the second successive year with College Chapel? The big money this morning was for Owington. Runners and riders come from Peter O'Sullivan.